Hi everyone, it's Lynnea for LDRS Creative, and I'm going to be making a really easy holiday card to share with you today. I'm using a classic red and green color combination along with some press plates. I have two press plates from LDRS Creative. One I'm going to use for the background and one will be the focal point. I'm using the chain link lattice background and the Happy Holidays impression press plus foil plates. Now, as I get started, I do want to remind you that these are impression press plates. These are not your traditional dies, these are thicker. So although I will be using them with my die cutting machine, you do need to have a specialized letterpress platform to use these press plates. I will be using the Better Press platform to create my impression, but there are a few different types on the market. So here's my Better Press platform, and this is what I'll use to make my letterpress impression. You can see that this has a top plate that will come off. That's where I will attach my watercolor paper, and I will be using LDRS Creative cotton watercolor paper. I love this paper because it's thick and fibrous, and it really allows the design from these press plates to press into the cardstock. I'm going to start with my background. So this is the chain link lattice background press plate. I'll put this onto my magnetic platform, and I'm just lining this up with the grid lines so that I know it's going to press straight into my background panel. I'm going to take an A2 sized cotton watercolor panel, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, the full size of my background, and I will line it up with those little A2 notch marks that are in the center of my platform. And I'm just going to use a little bit of a low tack tape to hold this in place right at the corners so that I know that it won't interfere with my pressed design. Once I have that paper taped onto that top plate, I'm going to go ahead and grab some hybrid ink, and this one is Kiss Me Red hybrid ink from LDRS Creative. I'm going to ink up this whole background, and I'm going to apply the ink quite liberally because I want to make sure that it really covers on my background. I don't want to have to run this through twice and risk messing up my background. So I'm going to go through and just really strategically make sure that I have ink on every little bit of this background. I'll go through with my ink pad turned one way and then turn it and do it again just to make sure I get ink everywhere. Now I'm going to grab that top plate that has my watercolor paper attached, and I'll put that onto the magnets and run this right through my die cutting machine. So again, I am using this with my die cutting machine, but you can see I have a specialized letterpress platform that I'm using. I am not using my traditional plates for this. Here is my background, and it is so hard to tell on camera, but everywhere where you see red, that red ink is actually pressed down into the cardstock, giving it a lot of texture in real life. I'm now going to use my focal point here. This is the Happy Holidays impression press plus foil plate. And I inked this up with Raven Hybrid ink using the same exact method that I used for my background. This one is just in black instead of the red. I also went ahead and pressed the Happy Holidays in red for my sentiment. I'm going to be coloring this panel now, and I have a few different marker colors here. You don't have to use this many markers if you don't want to. I have 2 for each color combination. So I'm going to make my candle yellow. And then I have 3 different green combinations. I have G19 with BG15, G85 with G82, and YG17 with YG23. And I'm just going to color my normal way. This cotton watercolor paper allows you to color beautifully with alcohol markers. So I start with my darker color and add a little bit of shadow, and then I come in with my lighter marker color and just color all over my image. I have 3 different color combinations for my green just to give some different colors and depth with the greenery on my leaves, but you definitely don't have to do this. This image would look beautiful using just one green color combination if you didn't want to take the time to pull out 3 different sets of greens. I went ahead and just colored in this whole wreath using my markers, and then I'm going to be die cutting this shape using the coordinating dies. Fun thing about the coordinating dies is that it has a full die that's going to cut out around your image like your traditional dies do. And I do want to note that for this part, I am going to be using my die cutting machine with the regular die cutting plates. These are your traditional wafer thin dies. I have that outline in place, but then there's also a second die that's going to cut out around and in between the candle and the inner portion of the wreath. So you kind of have a peek through image if you want. That die is secondary, so you don't have to use that. You could just cut around the outside. Here is how my card's going to come together. And I thought that it was kind of blending in with the background too much. The background was a little bit overwhelming. So I grabbed some vellum, and I'm just going to cut out a little piece to kind of have behind that center cutout portion. I used my scissors and just freehand cut a little piece, and then I'll use my liquid adhesive and just glue that vellum on to the back so that it kind of dulls down that background in the center a little bit. I added foam tape behind my wreath and then also behind my Happy Holiday sentiment, which I die cut after I letterpress, and I'm going to just line those up right in the center, pop them up on foam, and this card is finished. It came together in no time at all, and I love the different greens on that wreath. I think it's really pretty. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye!